Okay, welcome to Tiblio's Trade Desk walkthrough. Now, if you're not logged in already, instead of this dashboard button up here, you'll see a login, and that will take you to the account sign-in screen where you can log in with a magic link. All right, after doing that, you'll land on the watch list page, and I'm just going to click into the Trade Desk. The first thing actually that you'll need to do is come over to brokers, and you will need to connect one of your brokerages. You can connect to Schwab, TradeStation, or Tradier brokerages as the three that are currently supported. And we have a fourth one that's in the works that I hope we'll be able to release soon. I'm going to skip that for now because I've already done it and come over to the Trade Desk. Now, in the Trade Desk, this is a chat interface where you can effectively chat with the brokerage account that you have selected, right? You can actually ask it about your positions. You can ask it to find an option for you, given a strike price or a day's to expiration and a delta. And you can ask it to create or send orders for you. You can ask it to close a position and generally chat with it. I'm not going to go over that in this video. In this video, I'm specifically going to talk about configuring the wheel strategy because I believe that is probably why you're here. In this video, we're going to talk about the wheel strategy and how do I configure the wheel strategy, because we all want to sell options for income. The wheel strategy is widely accepted to be one of the best strategies to do that, and just helps to have the software. You know, for me personally, when it's time to go and sell call options, that's when my wheel strategy breaks down. I tend to get emotional and want to wait for the stock price to recover. And by doing that, most of the time I miss out on additional income, additional premium from selling more options because I'm just waiting. And the stock price may or may not rebound, right? Okay, so this software will really help you operate your wheel strategy. The first few things that we see when we come in is that we have the account that this is currently tied to is my Schwab account, and the nickname for this account, my regional bank wheel strategy. Okay, and then I can choose to pause all activity, which means it will not run in the background, and I can choose to have it automatically send orders or not, which controls when it runs. Is it going to go ahead and send the order, or is it going to ask me to confirm the order? And that really has to do with this next order button down here. And I will demo that at the end. But for now, after we get into those two, let's check the main settings, which you will see. You come up here in the upper right and click Edit Settings. And we have the main settings for my wheel strategy configuration. Everything that I really need to define the wheel strategy 100% is included in these settings. So I can't stress that enough, that the software is not going to make decisions for you. It will do what you tell it to do through this configuration. Okay, so we see that I have the nickname for the account. I can change the broker and the account ID. This would allow me to migrate this configuration to a new broker if I wanted to do that. Generally speaking, you should not be doing that. Okay, then if I want to cancel orders or not. So when it runs in the background, it'll spin up, and if there are open orders on in the account, it'll go ahead and cancel those. That's typically a good idea, just to make sure that something doesn't get into a bad state where it's doing a calculation, but there's already an order open. Because if that were to happen, and it shouldn't happen, but if that were to happen, then it's conceivable, for example, that there could be an order open to sell a call option when you only have 100 shares, and then the software runs and sends an order to sell another call option, and both of those execute, leaving you short one naked call option, which would be bad. Okay, it really shouldn't happen, and if something like that were to happen, you'll get a warning printed out in the logs as well. Okay, so I typically leave this checked. Go ahead and cancel the orders before you run. And then here we have an allocation. So this allocation is the first level of allocation, and this is the amount of money in the account that is allocated to this strategy. So if I have $100,000 in the account, but I only want $10,000 to be used on this wheel strategy, then I could just come in here and configure this to be 0.1. I'm going to leave it at 1 now, so I'm allocating all of the money in the account to this wheel strategy. Then I can select to get order notifications. This will just be an email every time an order is sent. This does not necessarily mean that the order executed, but you'll get an email if it sends an order. Next are the target put days to expiration and the target call days to expiration. I typically leave these around 35 to 45. I think that's pretty standard among option sellers. That's when it's widely known that theta starts to decay more rapidly. But you could change this to whatever you like. You could sell weekly options if you like, or you could sell even 0 DTEs, although the software does not run continuously throughout the day. So it is not an ideal system right now for 0 DTEs. That may be an enhancement that we add. It's really best for weekly or weekly options that expire in many weeks. So you could go 45 days, 50, 60, 90 days, whatever. They should all work pretty well. And then you have the target put delta and target call delta. So this is really the defining the price at which, find the strike at this delta to define the option that I want to sell, right? So this is a range between 0 and 1. You don't have to worry about negatives or positives. Negatives for your broker may show negative deltas for puts, for example. Okay, and a 0.5 would be a 50 delta, or the option that is closest to at the money. Deltas change for all kinds of reasons. I'm not going to get into that in this video. Just suffice to say, the further out of the money or the closer to at the money. If I think that the stock price is more likely to go down over the next few months, I will have a higher call delta to pad more to the downside. And if I think that this stock is going to go up over the next few months, I will have a higher put delta so that I take advantage of that move up. You can come in and change these whenever you like. And then we have target profit. I have this set at 1.0 at 100% as an effective way to just turn off the profit taker. Okay, a lot of people will come in, and you may see in other videos, or if I show my main brokerage account, which is also traded using this software, that I do take profit at more like 85 to 87%. So you could come in and put 0.85 here. And whenever the option reaches that, the software will send an order to go ahead and close it and take that profit. And that's really handy whenever you want to take profit early so that you can sell more options. If there's a big move, then that option may go to most profit pretty quickly. You don't want to be sitting there with only 15% profit left for like 2 or 3 more weeks. Okay, and then we have this handy feature. This is a new feature called avoid assignment for any profit. This really kicks in on expiration day, and it's to help avoid paying assignment fees when you don't really need to pay assignment fees. Okay, so if it's even $1 in profit and it's expiring, right? So $1 in profit, so maybe it's you sold it for $50, it's trading for 49, so you'd have $1 in profit. And it's expiration day, then it will go ahead and close that so that you don't pay an assignment fee. Some brokers have $9 assignment fees, which you just wouldn't need to pay. So you can check that. Then is sell calls below adjusted cost basis. Yes, the system tries to keep track of your adjusted cost basis, which is the cost that you're assigned at minus premium that you have taken in from selling options against it. Okay. This is really good in case there's this will default to off in case there's a big move down after you've been assigned, or then you're assigned, and you would end up selling options at a very, very low price, locking in losses. This is one of the gotchas of this strategy, and most of the time you don't want to do that. So I'll actually go ahead and leave it checked off. And then we can go sell call options over earnings, sell puts over earnings, or sell calls over dividends, or sell puts over dividends. So earnings and dividend dates are the most important dates on individual stocks. Of course, this is KRE that we're going to be talking about here, so I don't really care about earnings. There are no earnings dates on the ETF. But if you're configuring this for an individual stock and you do or do not want to sell calls or puts over earnings, you can come in and check these. Now, that will not affect currently open positions. So maybe you came in and sold an option that expires over earnings. The software is not going to close that for you. It'll go ahead. But if it's going to go and calculate, according to the strategy, I should send an order to sell another put option on this that expires in 35 days. And then it'll go and say, oh, does that expiration in 35 days, does the expiration for this option actually expire past the earnings date? Meaning, is earnings between today and when this option expires? And if so, it will actually not sell that put option if you have this unchecked. Okay. And then dividends are the same thing. Most of the time, dividends don't really matter, and you may actually want to sell puts on the dip on dividends because stocks tend to recover those pretty quickly. And if your strategy is to sell calls over stocks because they typically rise into the dividend, then you would definitely want to sell calls over the dividends as well. So in most scenarios, I think those are probably checked. And now we have the buy order offset and the sell order offset. These are for the pricing algorithm. So whenever the software sends an order, it will monitor the order and it will try to get a fill. It sets the price at the mid-market price. So the midpoint price, or also called the mark. And these offsets are a percentage of the bid-ask spread added to the bid. So to say I could go as low on the sell order offset when I'm selling, I could start at the mark, but I could go down, which is halfway between, or 0.5. I could go down to 0.3, 30% of the bid-ask spread, right? And if I set that all the way down to 0, then I would allow it to sell on the bid. Okay, so this gives you a way to provide a range for the pricing algorithm so it can move the price around to try to get a fill. It's very important, and setting some kind of range here, like 0.6 and 0.3 or 0.7 and 0.2, will definitely help you get filled even on those stocks that do not have super liquid options. Okay, the final 3 settings here are the target order size, the day size, and the week size. So just like the names indicate, this is sort of the maximum of what you want this thing to do in any given order, day, or week. So if it's this order, I'm saying with a 0.1, only sell 10% of the maximum position size for any particular equity in any given order. And then if it runs multiple times a day and sees that there's more left to do, then don't sell more than 20% in a day. And as we're going throughout the week, do not sell more than 40% in the week. You will need to play with these numbers and tweak them in. The more put or more options that you're able to sell, the easier this is. Like if you have a maximum position size of 10 options or 1,000 shares, then you could easily come in here and say, I want to sell 10% of that per day max. Then you could put that to 0.1 and it would have enough to sell one option. If your maximum position size is more like 4 options, then you'll find that, well, the minimum that it can do is 1 option. And so in any order, it'll sell 1 option. And you're really only concerned then with the target order size and the target week size, because the day size would probably be up like 25% would be in one day in that case. Okay, so the more options that you can sell, obviously the better. All right, now that's going to do it for the main configuration section. The next thing that we would need to do is to look at the equities that we want to trade. So what we configured there is that I have $43,000 in the account, and I've allocated 100% of that to the strategy. So we see here that I have a total allocated of 100%. That's actually because I've allocated 100% of that 100% to KRE already. Okay, so let me just edit that and say, you know what, I'm only going to do 50%. Okay, so now we see that I've got 100% of the $43,000 allocated to this strategy. But of that 100%, I have only allocated 50% in all the different equities. So you can come in and basically play with all the percentages of the equities until this adds up to 100%. And that would be 100% of whatever percentage that you have allocated to the strategy. So you can really control how much money is going into the calculations for this. Okay, I'm gonna go back in and edit this. So we have the symbol, we have the weight that we just talked about, and then we have these two options for writing call contracts or writing put contracts. This allows you to really tune what the system is going to do with this equity. You may already own 1,000 shares or 2,000 or 20,000 shares or whatever, and you want to run a covered call strategy, in which case you could just uncheck write put contracts. Okay, or maybe you want to allocate, you want to accumulate shares in an equity. Then you could come in and say, I don't want to write call contracts, so just keep writing puts, and I'll keep an eye on it when it gets up to 2, 3, 4,000, however many shares that I want to own. When I've been assigned to that many shares, I'll come in and do something with it. Just keep writing put contracts, and in that way you can be assured that you're effectively just dollar cost averaging into the stock with puts by selling put options, and you don't have to worry about selling call options or being called away. Okay, I want to sell both call and put options on KRE. I'm going to leave both of those checked. Next is the call strike limit and the put strike limit. This is another way for you to more finely control when it's allowed to sell calls and when it's allowed to sell puts. So previously we had the adjusted cost basis. Well, you could also come in here and say, look, I want to sell puts on this, but only below $50. Or I want to sell calls on this, but only above $60, right? So, carries trading around 57. So I could say, yeah, I actually want to accumulate shares until carry gets up to 70, and I go back and look historically on the chart. And then you can say, I want to sell puts, but I only want to sell puts on it when it dips below 50. And I can go and I can set those put and call strike limits. So this is another way for you to really finely control how this strategy is going to work. Next, the rest of the settings, you've already seen these: the put days to expiration, the call days to expiration, and the put delta and the call delta. These settings simply override the main strategy settings. So it could be that most of the time you have like 20 stocks in your portfolio. Most of the time you want them to use the main account settings. But for this stock, it's really volatile lately and you want to change those deltas around. Only for the stock, you can do that here. Okay, and then click Save Changes. And you're ready to go, right? Oh, so I want to go ahead and change that back to 100% because this account is effectively going to be my regional ETF, regional bank ETF account. So that's all it's going to do. It's just going to sell options on KRE. Okay. Now, what do we have? It has already done some of the calculations. So my maximum position size, 100%. That's the $43,352. And that equates to 761 shares. It's good that this is shown to me here because I see that I have 61 shares that is not going to be working for me. If I wanted to mix up the equities in the account, I could kind of change these allocations around so that this really rounds to the nearest 100 shares and free up the rest of this money for maybe a less expensive equity. Okay, next it's going to print out my current position in puts, calls, and shares. And then it's going to tell me, well, what would be the next thing that I would do? Okay, I'm going to toggle off send orders. And then now I'm going to demonstrate the next thing that I would do. How would we check that? We would click next order. If it says the next thing to do is to sell a call and a put option, when I click next order, it'll show me the call option first. And I'll need to get that order executed before clicking next order would show me the put option. But effectively then this kicks me into the trade desk and it shows me the next order that it would calculate according to the settings that I have set, and I can choose to send that order or not. Okay, and then finally, how do we know this thing is doing what we want? Come up and check the activity. And you will see this is what it says. It says, oh, I can sell this KRE option, and I'm going to write 1 of 7 puts on KRE. The order size is 1. The max share count is 760 at the current price of $56.97. My current position is this. So you can always come in and see exactly what it's thinking, exactly how it did the calculation, and how did it arrive at that it could sell this one particular option. And this is can sell it. Now, if it's running in the background, we will see more log statements in here that say, okay, I went ahead and submitted this order. And okay, that didn't execute. I adjusted the price and I tried to get filled, and then the order got filled, right? So we will see a detail of everything that it does here in the activity so that you can keep an eye on what's going on and then come in and tweak your settings. All right, I want to welcome you to the trade desk and the wheel strategy in Tiblio. If you have any questions, you can email support@tiblio.com or come and find me in the Discord channel. I would really love to hear from you, and I would love to hear about how you're using this software to configure and operate your wheel strategy and the things that you care about. And if you have any ideas for enhancing this software, please let me know. I would love to hear your ideas. I'm always looking to make this software better.